Imagine waking up on a warm spring morning and hearing nothing. No buzzing between the flowers. No bees moving from blossom to blossom. The gardens would still look normal at first, but one of the most important natural systems on Earth would already have stopped working. There are more than 20,000 known species of bees. Some live in large colonies, like honeybees. Others live alone and build their nests underground, inside hollow plants or in small openings in wood. Despite their differences, they all perform one extremely important task. They carry pollen from one flower to another. This process allows many plants to produce fruits and seeds. Without pollination, the flowers may still bloom, but no new fruit will grow from them. Now imagine that every bee suddenly disappears. Not only the honeybees kept by beekeepers, but also bumblebees, mason bees, mining bees and thousands of other wild species. Would humanity immediately run out of food? But the world would begin to change much faster than most people expect. During the first few days, almost nobody would notice a difference. Supermarkets would still be full. Warehouses would still contain fruit, vegetables, grains and packaged foods. Ships and trucks would continue transporting products around the world. The apples on the shelves had already been harvested. The almonds had already been collected. The strawberries had already been grown. But in orchards and fields, the next harvest would already be in danger. Many important crops depend at least partly on animal pollination. Bees are among the most effective pollinators on the planet. Apples, cherries, blueberries, strawberries, almonds, cucumbers, pumpkins and many other crops would produce far less food. Some plants could still be pollinated by wind. Others might pollinate themselves or receive visits from butterflies, flies, beetles, birds or bats. But these animals could not simply replace billions of missing bees. The first major shock would arrive during the next growing season. Farmers would watch their trees produce thousands of flowers, but only a small number of fruits. Some fruits would remain unusually small or develop an irregular shape because the flowers had not received enough pollen. Fields that once produced reliable harvests would suddenly become unpredictable. Food would not disappear completely. Wheat, rice and corn provide a large part of humanity's calories. These crops are mainly pollinated by wind or do not depend on bees in the same way as many fruits and vegetables. Potatoes and several other staple foods could also continue to grow. Humanity would probably not become extinct because of the disappearance of bees. But surviving would not mean eating well. Our diets would become less colorful, less varied and less nutritious. Many fruits, nuts, vegetables and seeds would become rare or extremely expensive. Foods rich in vitamins, minerals and other important nutrients would become harder to produce in large quantities. For millions of people, especially in poorer regions, nutritional deficiencies could become more common. The price of apples, berries, cherries, almonds and many vegetables would rise dramatically. Farmers would spend more money trying to pollinate their plants. At the same time, their harvests would become smaller. Food that once seemed completely ordinary could become a luxury. A small box of berries might cost several times more than it does today. Almonds could become too expensive for many people. Some fruits might only appear in stores during short periods of the year. But the consequences would extend far beyond human food. Bees also pollinate countless wild plants. These plants produce berries, nuts, seeds and leaves that feed insects, birds and mammals. They also provide shelter and nesting material for many animals. When those plants stop reproducing, entire ecosystems would begin to change. At first, the differences might be difficult to notice. There would be fewer berries in forests. Fewer seeds would grow into new plants. Some flowers would continue blooming for several years, but no younger plants would replace them. Slowly, the landscape would become less diverse. Animals that depended on those plants would begin losing their food sources. Some insects would disappear. Bird populations would decline. Small mammals would struggle to find enough seeds and fruit. The disappearance of bees would create a chain reaction throughout nature. Other pollinators would prevent some plants from disappearing. Butterflies, moths, flies, beetles, birds and bats can all transport pollen. But different flowers are adapted to different pollinators. Some plants have developed close relationships with particular bee species over millions of years. Losing every bee would leave enormous gaps in the network of life. Agriculture would also lose something that cannot easily be manufactured. A farm visited by many different bee species is more resilient than one depending on only a single pollinator. Different bees are active at different temperatures. They visit different flowers and use different techniques to collect pollen. Bumblebees can even vibrate certain flowers with their flight muscles. This vibration releases pollen that would otherwise remain trapped inside the flower. Tomatoes and several other plants benefit from this special method. Without bees, humans would attempt to replace them. Workers could move through orchards with small brushes. They could collect pollen from one flower and carefully transfer it to another. Hand pollination is already used in some places where natural pollinators are scarce. But doing this across millions of fields and orchards would require an enormous number of workers. A single bee can visit hundreds or even thousands of flowers in one day. It works without wages, fuel, roads or complicated machines. It can find suitable flowers, navigate through difficult landscapes and repeat the process every day. Replacing this natural service would be incredibly slow and expensive. And while valuable crops might receive human help, wild plants in forests, mountains and remote landscapes would be left alone. Engineers might also develop robotic pollinators. Tiny drones could carry pollen between flowers. Cameras and artificial intelligence could help them identify the correct plants. Greenhouses and extremely valuable crops might eventually use these machines. But a robot that can pollinate one greenhouse is not the same as millions of living creatures supporting an entire landscape. The economic effects would spread far beyond farms. Countries that depend on exporting fruit, nuts or seeds would lose income. Farmers could abandon crops that were no longer profitable. Factories that clean, package and process these products would receive fewer supplies. Rural communities built around orchards and specialized agriculture would struggle to survive. The loss of bees would become an economic and social crisis as well as an environmental one. Even products that do not appear connected to bees could be affected. Some livestock depend on pollinated plants for food. Many manufactured products contain fruit, nuts, oils, spices or seeds that benefit from pollination. Supply chains would have to adapt to a smaller and less reliable collection of crops. Supermarkets would slowly offer fewer choices. A world without bees would not collapse in a single dramatic moment. It would be a gradual unraveling. One failed harvest would increase prices. One disappearing plant would remove food from several animals. Each loss would make ecosystems less diverse and less able to survive droughts, diseases and extreme weather. Fortunately, bees have not disappeared. But many bee populations already face serious pressure. Natural habitats are being destroyed or divided into smaller areas. Large agricultural landscapes often contain only one type of crop. For a few weeks, these fields may offer enormous quantities of flowers. After the flowering period ends, however, bees may find almost nothing to eat for the rest of the year. Pesticides, parasites, diseases, pollution and climate change create additional problems. Rising temperatures can cause flowers to bloom earlier than usual. If bees are not active at the same time, they may miss an important source of food. The plants may also lose their pollinators. The disappearance of every bee is not an immediate prediction. It is a warning about how dependent the modern world remains on small creatures that most people barely notice. Protecting bees does not require turning the entire planet into untouched wilderness. Flower-rich field borders can provide food between harvests. Diverse gardens can offer nectar and pollen throughout the year. Dead wood, open soil and hollow plant stems can provide nesting spaces for wild bees. Cities, farms and private gardens can all become part of a connected landscape where pollinators are able to survive. Even small habitats can make a difference when many of them exist together. Bees are easy to overlook because their work happens quietly. They do not build cities or operate machines. They simply travel from one flower to another while carrying tiny grains of pollen. Yet these tiny journeys help create orchards, forests, seeds, fruits and much of the diversity found on our plates. A world without bees would probably not become lifeless overnight. Humanity might survive on grains, wind-pollinated crops and expensive technological solutions. But the planet would become poorer, less colorful and far more fragile. The question is not whether humans could survive without bees. The real question is what kind of world would remain. Until the next wonder.